Welcome to Frankly Speaking with Sendra D, where we journey beyond the surface to uncover the essence of living an authentic, affluent life. I'm Sendra D, your companion guide on this path of self-discovery and empowerment. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Frankly Speaking with Sendra D. My name is Sendra Dorcé. I am your host today. And of course, I aim to please every time to bring you a guest who will be able to expand your awareness of how the world works. This beautiful world that we live in, that we all coexist in, what's there for us to help elevate humanity. And whether it be, as I mentioned on the cover, I talk about whether you're in a leadership role or whether you're in the realm of politics or business or even spirituality. And if your business is focused on wealth, again, this is the podcast for you. So today I have with me Adrian Rauko, who is currently in Germany. And he has agreed to come speak on his current experience conducting humanitarian efforts in and around Ukraine, but now expanding to Africa. So Adrian Rauko is a dynamic professional excelling in multiple domains. And as a developer of high-tech startups, he brings innovative solutions to the forefront of the industry. He also leads an investigation and surveillance business, ensuring security and compliance for his clients. In addition, he has, as I mentioned before, extensive experience now delivering humanitarian aid around the world, which started in Ukraine. So that is going to be our main focus on the podcast today. And because Ukraine has been such a hot spot for all things politics around the world, I think every leader around the world, probably, I would say at least 50% of the leaders around the world have made a trip to Ukraine, more specifically to Kiev, to, I don't know, do a photo op with Mr. Zelensky. And I have to say, I'm not a fan of Mr. Zelensky. So I say that with an open heart, because I think all leaders deserve some level of respect because they have taken on a task to serve the people. But Mr. Zelensky has to prove that to me. I don't know if he's still there to do that, but which is why I'm having this candid conversation with someone who has been in and around Kiev, but not for political reasons, but for humanitarian. But one would say that these are interconnected, because I mentioned to you before the show, Adrian, and welcome. Let me just say welcome.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here and speak with you.
Perfect.
Really nice. Yeah.
So let's begin this chat by tell me, what did I miss into your introduction that you feel like the audience needs to know about you? What did I not include?
The point is, we speak about before, it's the situation in Ukraine is very complicated. There are so many interests, because also, for sure, not just political interests. And I can tell you, Mr. Zelensky, it's a nice guy. He's very he's a nice guy. I like Mr. Klitschko more because we are on the same wave. So every time when I'm in Ukraine, I go for lunch or dinner with Mr. Klitschko because
And can you tell the audience who that is that you're referring to? Everybody knows who Zelensky is, but no one knows.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Klitschko, it's of the city of Kiev, and he was the boxing champion. I'm not sure in which year, but he's very famous. So everybody who like the box sports know him, I'm sure. He invited me last time for a sparring with him, but I'm not sure I'm good for this. But because
he's a big guy, I saw his picture.
On. 2 meters and something else, I don't know. It's very big, but he's very intelligent and he is very nice, and he do something for the people. So I remember, without Mr. Klitschko and his team, I would never come to Ukraine because it was not possible. So we're starting. I tell you the story in some short sentence. I got a phone call from a friend from the government in Austria. He told me, Adrian, I have a woman, a friend of mine with 2 small children, alone, without a car, in Kiev. She's Ukrainian, and it was 1 week after starting the war or an invasion or whatever. And Adrian, somebody is in Ukraine and make evacuations, because on this time, without a car, how you can leave this big city? It's about 600 kilometers to the Polish border. The train station was full with 10,000 people. 10,000 people tried to come in each train.
Wow.
And if you are a woman with 2 small children, you die there. Okay, so I make some calls. I'm quite well connected in the security business and military business. And
tell us why. It's because you served in special forces as well, correct?
Yes, when I was young, I served special forces, and then I also worked for the United Nations in a peacekeeping mission in Israel and Syria. And yeah, I told him, let me make some calls, and I found 3 groups of guys. They make it for money, so it was a business for them.
It's a business for them.
Yeah.
Are they like mercenaries? Are these the type of like special ops? There's a group called Blackwater.
Yeah,
something like Blackwater.
Like yes.
Eric, remember Eric Prince?
I don't like these guys because
it's money first, right?
It's a lot of money. You don't believe. It's about $3,000 per seat. This was the cheaper one. The other takes $10,000 a seat. I told this to my friend, and then I remember, okay, a lot of my clients have companies with a lot of employees in Ukraine. So I told them also, you need evacuations. Here is a number, call them, guys. End of the day, I need 140 seats. And 20 of them was a very good friend of mine from Berlin. She needs 20 seats for 20 children from a hospital. But she told me, Adrian, no problem. It's no problem. End of the day, she told me, end of the day, she have the $60,000 for these 20 children. And these guys, these military guys,
mercenaries,
yeah, they always told me, okay, we are not ready for the boarding.
And what nationality? Were they Ukrainian or were they German?
United Kingdom. Yeah. There was the other group that was Italian. That was horrible. The Italian guys was very bad. And then was a third group that was Israeli. But yeah, probably. Yeah. But that was not so easy because they take first Jewish people. And if you don't be a Jewish and you pay for your seat, and then come a Jewish guy, he take your seat. So you go out. Yeah. So, okay, it was not so nice. And so the guys every day say, okay, we have a delay next day. So after 3 days, I call my friend in Berlin and told her, okay, you have $60,000 for these 20 children. I have a better idea. We don't wait for these guys from UK. We make our own convoy for a rescue mission. So I have the people, I have the connections, you have the money. Let's do it. After 72 hours, start our convoy with 3 big buses. And we was the first time in Kiev on 8 March. So it was 2 weeks after.
So it was on the 24th of February that the conflict officially launched.
And so we evacuate not just 20 children, we evacuate 140 women and children and pregnant from hospital on this first ride with the same money for, okay. And okay,
fantastic.
so it was crazy because you have checkpoints and it was so difficult to come there and leave. And it was
get through Poland, because you have to get to Poland. Once you get to Poland, you're fine, but it's just getting into Poland, right?
The point was the 600 kilometers between the border in Poland and Kiev. And it was not 600, it would be the direct route. We have to use the south route because on the west route, on the west, north, and east of Kiev, there was Russian troops. So you can drive just one way from the south. So it was about more than 900 kilometers. But we made it. We come back, we bring everybody to Germany and Austria, to helping centers and governments, and everybody help. And the guys in Kiev, I remember, we got a connection to the government in Kiev, to Mr. Klitschko directly. I spoke with
the
him
mayor.
then and told him, come on, we come with 3 buses. Can you help me? And he helped us. So it was everything organized. We come, we reload the relief supplies and boarding the 140 women and children and leave as soon as possible, because it was not sure that what's happened next day. And I remember the guys in Kiev told us, okay, ask me, do you come again? And I asked, yeah, sure. You have more people? Yeah, 1,000.
Sure.
And I told him, okay, yes, we come back. And we say, okay, wonderful, we're waiting for you. But last time when I was in Kiev, he told me, nobody believe you come back. Nobody. You was once here and you come not back. But we come. We was a week later, we was back with 5 buses and drive back with women and children from hospitals and everywhere. And we come the 3rd time with 6 buses and the 4th time with
this is still
11
March, because you started in March and you just kept going back and forth the whole month of March.
We evacuate in the first 2 months 1,240 children, women, pregnant women, very old people from hospitals. It was a big mission. It was crazy. And after these 2 months, changed the situation, because everybody saw, okay, the Russian cannot run over, they cannot take Ukraine in 1 week, because everybody think, okay, Russia have the 2nd largest army, take Ukraine in 1 week. But
they chose not to.
It was not possible. It was not possible. I saw many bad things.
Can you tell us what you saw, if you're able to?
I can say you the worst thing that I saw. I have two children,
yes.
2 girls, 2 and 5 years old. And this is the reason why I starting help. And then I saw in Ukraine, in north of Kiev, that was a very famous small city. They fighting very hard there. I saw dead children. And not dead by cancer or incident or whatever.
So what's the name of that city that you're referring to?
I will not say it. Maybe it's
too sensitive.
Yeah, I don't speak about it because it was very hard
to see. Even for someone, you were in Syria and you saw many things, but you say that this is one of the worst things you've witnessed. With children, it's harder, isn't it?
Dead by war. Children dead by war. Not old. I don't know how old, maybe, I don't know, 6 and 10, I cannot say. You will not see this. Nobody will see this. You can never forget this. And on this war, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Take your time.
Let me come back. So we evacuate people, and then we change, because nobody won't leave Ukraine then when the situation changed. So we starting to bring medical relief supplies. And on this way, starting also my 2nd business, for example, because there are many companies around the world, they would help the people. And they hire us to procure medical supplies and bring it to Ukraine and distribute there. So that's a kind that I try to help. And now we have also requests from Africa and Asia.
I wish I had known you 15 years ago, because there was that big earthquake in Haiti, remember?
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
And so many people were looking for medical supplies, and I said, I don't know anyone, unfortunately. But now I know, God forbid, I hope nothing happens to Haiti. I think Haiti has had enough. But what were you doing before you started transporting people from Ukraine to safer territories?
I have some companies for investigation and surveillance, very specialized. So security consulting in a special part. And since many years in Europe, I also start some startups in high tech. I have some friends are genius so we start some startups and like this. But now, more than 2 years, about 80% of my time goes relief supplies.
Are you still transporting people from Ukraine?
No, it was just the first 2 months because after they changed the situation, Russian leave the ground around Kiev, and most of the Ukraine people saw not really safe, but they won't leave. They
I
won't stay at
understand.
home.
It was the same. Whenever there's a disaster, whether you call it war or natural disaster, because I remember even in Katrina, they had
Yeah, I remember.
forced people out. Remember, there was the storm. The police actually go to each house one by one to tell people to leave, because even though there was water everywhere in Haiti, the same thing. People are very attached to their home, their city, their families. So I fully understand that's even that what's going on now in Kiev. Besides, I do see there are clubs and bars opening in Kiev. Is that true? Are there still
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of
true.
activity? The young generation are going to the beach and they're having fun.
Yeah. Beach, maybe not really, because beach, this is maybe Odessa and part there. And
Yeah.
it's too
So
close.
yeah, I did see.
It's too close. And the point is, you try to have a normal life, but maybe every night in the shelter.
So do they have the alarm that tells you what cutoff time at war? You have a curfew.
They have between, I think, midnight to 6 in the morning. I'm not sure because I don't really care.
Does that affect you too? When you are there, do you
Yeah.
have to follow the curfew as well?
No, I have a
So it
permission.
it only applies to the residents, those people who are non-essential work people, right?
I have the permission to ignore the rules.
The word wouldn't be ignore. You have the permission to, I guess, you're immune to those guidelines because you're there for work, right?
I'm there for work. Yes, that's right. But it's better to follow because
Absolutely.
in the night it's
Absolutely.
not safe. And if you are on the streets, and look, that's on a normal night, that fly about 100 rockets or drones around Ukraine, about 100 each night, so more and less, I don't know. And it's not really safe.
So
They
where is Zelensky in all of this? I see a green screen. I have a green screen back here. Is he really in the war zone? You smile. I love him. I love
Yeah, he
Zelensky
go to the war zone,
because
yes. But normally,
let's be honest, he was an actor before. Yeah.
yeah, he was
So
an actor.
now he's a leader. So I can't put two together because I look at Putin and I say, that's a leader. I'm sorry, no matter if you like him or not, he takes command of his country, of his people, and that he has some degree of respect. But then if you see someone who's coming from the entertainment industry who really had nothing else in his portfolio or resume except being an actor, entertainer, it's hard to say this is the person that's leading a war. That's why I'm a little perplexed. Give us some insight into Mr. Zelensky, because I know you say he's a nice guy.
Yeah, the point is not that he was an actor before. He was a comedian.
Oh, you make it worse now. I said actor, but comedian.
He was a comedian. Yeah, but a
I
good
think
one.
that's either
Actor, comedian, a good one. Come on. How many US presidents was it?
Ronald Reagan and Donald
For
Trump.
example, Ronald Reagan, he was not the only one. So that's not the point. He can be a good president. That's not, he can be actor, he can be professor in Harvard.
You know what? The reason I laugh is because someone from my entourage in Haiti became president 10 years ago, Michel Martelly, and who's rumored to have, been involved in the killing of the president 4 years ago. I did business with him. I know who he is. He is quite funny. But when somebody told me he was going to be president of Haiti, I paused and said, I don't think he's the best that we have. He reminds me a lot of Zelensky, Volodymyr, because they were both into making people smile and laugh. And then you get into the business that's very serious. Ukraine and Haiti have one thing in common, which is there's a lot of suffering in those countries. Even though Ukraine is in Europe, it's considered the poorest country in Europe. Am I correct?
Yeah,
So
not the poorest, but
it's there. It's at the bottom. But so you need a very serious and very strong leader to inspire a movement to get them to be elevated to at least start moving towards the level of mainland Europe to where Europe is, especially if they are looking to join the EU. Because if you have an impoverished country, to join the EU, wouldn't you say that's going to weigh the EU down instead of EU lifting it up? Because if you look at it now, a lot of money going into Ukraine
Oh yeah,
is costing the European Union. So where is that
US
return on
too.
investment? That's why I can't reconcile. So my point about Zelensky, is he the right person to lead during these turbulent times? I couldn't lead. I'm not qualified. I can actually say that, but you think he is, right? So tell us why you think he's actually the best person to lead Ukraine. He's a nice person, I'm
No,
sure.
he's a nice person, but you must not be the best leader. The president must just win the election. And then the
That's
point
it.
is, who is in your team? The point is that
Very
so
good point.
if you have a great team, you can make good politics.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
You need just a leader who win the elections.
Mhm.
And if you have a good team, you can make your country great again.
Make Ukraine great again.
Yeah.
Make Germany great again. I'm going to get on the topic of Germany a little bit. So let's move on to Germany in relations to Ukraine. So I know you're providing some military support. Technically, you're not supposed to because it's not an ally. You are providing supplies for the war, some ammunition. Is that impoverishing your military? When are you replenishing your military? Whatever you give to Ukraine is depleting your defense, isn't it?
The point is, German's military is not very strong. The reason is because more than 10 years ago, the government in Germany stopped the money for the military. So they don't buy anything. And that's the big point.
Why is that?
Because it was the politics choose that. They say, okay, we spend the money there and there for, I don't know, German. You can Google that for what everything Germans spend money around the world for bicycles in Venezuela, e-bikes or something like that. You can read it on Google. It's crazy.
So would it be that this money was redirected to more the climate change agenda, global warming and all that? When you say e-bikes, it's
German fight against global warming. That's right. Very hard. That was not the best idea. Stop the nuclear plants in the same moment when they stopped the other plants. Germany have some bad ideas.
I want to ask you about the Green Party in your government, Mr. Schultz.
He is not green. There is a coalition between green.
Is it the Christian Democratic
Party?
Was it Angela Merkel's old party?
No, it's not Merkel's old party. No, they are in opposition since years. Mr. Schultz is more. You don't have this in US. It's like a left Democratic Party.
So they are the progressive. Donald Trump calls them the.
And the point is, he tried to be very quiet and not make a lot of noise. So the German politics is very difficult because there is a coalition with three parties, not two, three. So it's not the system like in US. We win the election and it's everything yours. In Europe, most of European countries work in the government. And the people, the Germans, are very angry about that, what's happened.
I am angry for you. I have said, what is happening to Germany? And so this is pertinent. I have a very good friend who's German who will watch this. Her father used to be a judge. And I watched this and I feel that you have allowed to let your government silence you as to how your country should be governed. So you don't, even though you cast your vote, once people win, they don't serve your interests. They serve Brussels. I feel like they're serving Brussels more than Germany.
Oh, no, that's not the point about Brussels. Brussels is not so bad. That's just a lot of bureaucracy there.
Right.
And that's not a big issue. The problem is when the politics stop to listen to the people.
Well, that's Brussels, because what happens in Brussels is you get a lot of people who are making decisions that are not elected. They're bureaucrats. They're not elected. Ursula von der Leyen is not elected. She just won another term. These people put smiles on my face. And I'm not saying that if I was in their position, I would do better, because sometimes it's so easy to judge them and say, you're doing bad and you're doing bad. I'm not saying that I would do better. I'm just saying I'm not in that position. So if you are going to be in that position, you have to excel. There's too much at risk So what's important is to know how the German people feel. I think it was Bob Barbeck. What is that foreign minister, that woman, what's her name? Evelina. She said something about giving all this money to Ukraine and the German people just have to deal with it. Just deal with it. You know what? That's a sacrifice you have to make.
That's not the point, because it's for Germany, it's not a lot of money. That the money that goes to Ukraine is not so much. The Ukraine don't get the money in cash. Most of them, that's the same with the US.
Mhm.
Most of the money, it's just a payment for stuff that the countries sell to Ukraine. So, for
Oh, I
example,
see.
for example, the delivering of weapons.
Mhm.
So I give you $1 million and I say I give you 1,000 guns, but you pay this with the money that I give you. So you don't see the money.
Germany is still benefiting in some
Sure,
aspect.
yes.
So I want to ask you more. So you're giving, so based on my research, you're giving military support, political support, because clearly Zelensky could not be there if he wasn't supported by the European
Oh, no.
Union and the
But as US, because just you saw this last year without US support. You remember? Without US support, that collapse. It was so close to collapse.
So is Zelensky scared now that Donald Trump may win the election? Because Donald Trump said he will end this.
No, Donald Trump say I can end this. That's not a bad idea. Trump say, okay, I speak with Mr. Putin and Mr. Zelensky and told them, guys, speak with each other. If you don't speak, if Mr. Putin, if you told me you don't speak with Mr. Zelensky, I support Mr. Zelensky much more.
Mhm.
And Mr. Zelensky, if you told me you don't speak with Mr. Putin, I don't support you
Putin.
anymore.
They should just send me. I will make these men speak to each other. I will lock them in the room. My strategy is lock them in the room without water, without food, together, yeah, and let until they talk. What do you think? You think that's a good strategy?
It
Without
sounds not
food
bad.
or water,
Yeah, it sounds not bad, but I'm not sure it works.
they won't accept.
These guys are crazy. They have money, they have power, they are believe in himself, and it's they don't.
It's their
they
ego,
don't,
isn't it?
they,
It's
they,
just distracting from what needs to be done, which is to service your country. So let's start again. So it's about the ego. It's about
yeah,
the ego of each of these leaders. I'm someone who focuses on humans first. I have some pillars, which people first, then planet, then whatever your passion is, and then profit is always last. The people should always be first. Who are you serving? And is your action going to benefit the people that you are serving? The ego interferes with that. So you are representing the German voice, correct? How do the German people view this whole situation between Ukraine and Russia? At some point, Russia was a good ally of Europe, wasn't it?
yes
No?
and no.
Of course, there was the siege, but that's aside. Europe is a complex place because you've had so many different systems. And right now, we're seeing the aftermath of these systems. They tore down the Berlin Wall, East and West, and all that. But now it's one unified Germany. So there's still that animosity with Russia. But at the same time, when Vladimir Putin came in, he was trying to really be part of Europe because
Yeah.
technically it's Eurasia. A significant part of Russia is in Europe. But
Yeah.
he also wanted to join the EU and NATO, did he not?
Yeah, he tried. That's right. But it's very complicated. I can't tell you why it not works, because there are so many players in this game. There are United States, UK, France, Germans, and
Italy,
everybody other interests. It's horrible.
to be honest. I think they're all in the same game, but United States is the dominant player
Oh yeah.
because I always see on the forefront, because you never know underneath who's really the dominant player. But in the forefront, it's the United States. If the United States picked up the phone now to say, Zelensky, you need to negotiate with Putin, I
Oh yeah.
bet you Zelensky would, because remember Donald Trump, when he came into office, that's why they impeached Donald Trump the first time. They said that when Donald Trump required to go investigate the Biden family, he was manipulating, and he said, you will get no money or something like that. You do this, or I will send no money or no guns. I'm paraphrasing. I try not to have too much information in my head. But what I know that is the US has the dominant hand. And when you're playing cards, somebody's going to be the winner, even if they don't show their cards. So I think overall, the US is always going to be the winner. But at the same time, I see Europe just in with the Nord Stream pipeline and Germany. I don't understand. Help me understand this
I
dynamic.
hope you understand, sure. So, for example, the Nord Stream, sure, that's the best benefits for the US. So we buy the gas from US, liquid gas, now, not from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
The Russia gas was not cheap. It was very expensive, but liquid gas is always much expensive. And we buy it now from Norwegian, we buy it now from US, Canada. So it's a big business for US too.
Of course, they benefited, right?
Oh yeah. I can't say you who bombed.
Who did it, right? But we're gonna say who benefited.
We just can speak how benefit. Yeah, because we was not there, and we don't know who dived with this bomb in the sea.
We know it wasn't you and it wasn't me.
No, I wasn't. No. Maybe I can, but no, it's too long ago. Too long ago. I need maybe lose some weight before I so deep with the bomb.
But you have to say that even if US is not the main seller of this liquid gas now, the sellers are people they control and that they have great relationship with. So the game is not always to be the one who is the main player, but the one who's pulling the string of the main player, right? Because the US now, so those countries that you're buying from, is it you said the Norwegian countries and Canada?
Norwegian, Canada, we buy.
Who controls them, right? The US controls these countries.
We buy the liquid gas from, I don't know, 6 or 7 different countries, and France also have other countries where they procure the gas and the liquid gas, and so it's very complicated. The market is complicated, and the United States sell a lot of liquid gas to Europe. That's a fact, but that not means that we can say who dive with a bomb. So we cannot say.
I think Joe Biden came out with a comment before that, and we can all say honestly, because the clips are online, that he wanted that to happen. I'm not saying he did it, but I'm just saying he wanted that to happen. So it's a shame, because now my question to you is, how has Germany balanced its support of Ukraine with all of their allegiance to Ukraine, with its own national security? When you think about all that they've given, and I think the loser in all of this is Germany.
Oh yeah, that's very often so, because Germany react very slow. They are very scared about the German people, the politic caste, because in Europe, you maybe saw yesterday or on the weekend, everywhere around Europe win the elections the right parties.
That's very good.
The old parties are very scared.
They need to go. They need to go. But you shouldn't be afraid of elections if you know you've done a good job. Full stop. That's the end of the story. If you have made a good service to the people, you should never be afraid of elections.
Also, the big points for the people on the street are, for example, the government now in Germany, they say, okay, everybody who votes for the right party is a Nazi, for example.
You know what? Call me a Nazi. You can call me a Nazi, because I'm saying people just throw the term around. They just throw it around. And then there are people who are real Nazis in front of them who are telling them that person's a Nazi. Don't they know what that means? The consequences of it's like the boy who cried wolf. Remember that?
Yes.
When it really happens, you're going to so normalize its meaning that when it really happens, you're going to miss the clues and the signs, but it'll be too late. It will be too late. And my heart breaks for the German people. And I have said this, and don't take me wrong, you have gotten too soft. You have gotten too soft because you are afraid of these people who use that, like the Jews that are calling you, everybody's a Nazi, you're anti-Semite, and we're all here to exist together, to treat each other with respect. Some situations cause others to have control over another. But now we should be accountable, each one of us, and stop looking to the past to solve problems for today. The Nazi term came from the past, but they're
Oh, yeah.
using it today to silence people. They call Donald Trump as a Nazi. And if you are a supporter of Trump, which I am, they will call me a Nazi. If this is the new face of a Nazi, fine. I love it. I dress nice. So now the Nazi, not a Nazi, can be a fashionable woman from Haiti, America, who loves to talk, whatever. Are they thinking? So I know I'm saying a lot. My editor's probably going
No,
to edit this out, but I'm trying to make sense of it. There's no more common sense in the world.
no.
So that's what you have to stand for. You have to stand up for your country. Germany is an amazing country and has an amazing culture.
You cannot stand up because if you stand up, you're Nazi. That's the point. For example, if you want to get the citizenship, United States English test, it's right? Since many years, I don't know, 50 years, 60 years, long time. In Germany, they start with German tests. If you want a citizenship, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and it was a big deal. It was a big deal.
So, the native language of Germany?
German is the native language in Germany, yes.
And so why are they questioning the process?
The point is, before this, you need to speak German to get
the citizenship before?
Since 15 years, yes. Or 20 years, maybe.
I'm surprised because you were afraid.
Because if you starting doing like this, starting the tests in German, or if you have a house, there is no German flag on each house in Germany.
Oh, I see.
Because if you do that, you are a Nazi. That's the difference for example, in Sweden or in United States or Brazil or wherever I travel a lot. That's not a problem. You are
a patriot.
You love your country. That's your flag. It's nothing with Nazi or hate other people or nothing like this.
You can love your country. Like me, no. I love the United States, and I will go for the candidate that appears to me to love their country more and that are not going to sell out their country and let these borders open up and just let people come in. And I don't know, I'm a woman who travels a lot by herself. I like to know that I'm living in a safe society. And the fact that you're letting people, and that's happening in Germany too. Angela Merkel started that. There was a time when I liked her. I used to like Angela Merkel. I said, oh my goodness, Chancellor Angela Merkel, fantastic. And then I started hearing this open door policy. She said to everyone, come on in. And I said to her, have you resolved all your problem inside your country before you start inviting the neighbor in? And they're not even your immediate neighbor. Why don't you tell people in Europe to come in first before you go all the way to Middle East?
Because one always help. But the point is,
you're destroying yourselves.
You have a capacity. You can try to help. That's the European mindset. You want to help other people. That's good. Helping other people is not bad, but each country have a capacity.
It's what you call order and discipline, because you cannot have chaos in a country and expect your population to thrive.
Yes.
Have you seen these are fictional scenarios like Mad Max and anarchy, and this is what we'll have in Europe. And you cannot put the voice of a newcomer against the voice of someone who has invested in a country like you, who have served in your country, and you are trying to protect the rights of your children. You have very young children. You want to make sure that your children enjoy the same opportunities that you have. There are corporations now in the US that are discriminating against people who are not Black and Latino and this. They have in their HR stipulations that we are going to prioritize to hire people who are not, how can I say, Black or Spanish or whatever. That's happening in Europe too. Adrian, can we agree that this is beyond our government? Something bigger than is happening? And because I don't see the end goal for this. These are smart people. I'm not that smart. For me to see through this, it doesn't take rocket science for me to be able to say, oh, I'm Einstein, so therefore I see the end game and how this is all going to end. I'm not that smart. So if I can see through this, these leaders who are doing this, they can see it too. So what do you think is their goal for this, besides being just nice? Because this is beyond being nice now and helping other people.
I don't believe that's a big plan, because I
I'm
say
a
you,
conspiracy theorist.
no, it's not a conspiracy. It cannot be. I say you, why not? I work a long time in this special alliance and consulting business, and I can say you, if you have more than two people, it's not possible to save informations. It's very difficult, and the big conspiracy is not possible to work because
Okay, I've been
there are so
groomed
many
then.
people work on it. You cannot everybody have on the line and everybody follow the rules and nobody tells anybody. It's not possible to keep this
Conspiracy. Say it in
secret.
German. What's the
Keep the
word in
secret.
German?
It's not possible to keep this secret. If it's a secret, the conspiracy is a secret. If it
It's hard now with social media and people like myself who my mind loves information. As much as I tell you, I try to put information away. I do love information. And I don't read the newspaper for that because first of all, I don't believe anything they say. But I do feel that when something comes to me, I can tell whether is this, or even if I can't tell right away, I will continue to ask, is there any truth to this? Is there any truth to this? What started the Ukraine and Russia situation. Some people say it was provoked by the United States. I think it was, and so that they could actually gain more access to Russia. But some people would say that Vladimir Putin wants to invade Europe and take over Europe. So there are different belief systems. So
yeah.
for me, I always try to push away from all of it and say, what makes more sense to me? What makes more sense? There's probably a little bit of truth in each one. So it's about you pulling away and actually saying, even what we're talking about now, the audience will be what is true. So I want the audience to actually put in the comment section, what is everything we've talked about today? What do you think? What comments do you have about what's true and what's not true? Did Russia really want Europe? Does the US want Russia? So who is behind the destruction of Germany? Is it deliberate for all these migrants to come into Germany and for them to silence the German people and to deindustrialize Germany? There are a lot of topics that we could go on about, but we have so much time. You're going to have to come back. So what would you like to say to the audience? We've touched on a lot of things. So what do you see? What do you foresee? If you have your crystal ball, what do you see for Germany and Europe? Let's leave aside all the different areas that you work in. Stay focused on your children when they grow up. What will they have in Germany?
The point is that's two different things. That's what I think will happen, and that's what I would wish that happened. So I think the next election, all old parties will lose, catastrophic lose, and we will have in Europe a very right government in most of the countries. It must not be bad because that's always about money. So we saw this 20 years ago in Austria when the right party also was in the government. They don't change nothing. They just collect money. They make sure bad things and good things. But I think the point is, Europe is not very fast, but very creative. So I think German will come up again. France will come up again. Maybe it needs 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah, because you have Marie Le Pen as the leader in the elections coming up, I think in a week or two. And also, well, UK is lost. I think they've lost their way. Look at the bridge. Let's enjoy that bridge. Who knows how long it'll be there. They're going to say that bridge is racist. But anyway, that's just...
Come on.
Truly, they're destroying all the monuments. You've heard that. The reason I say that is because my school, I went to business school in London. So the school in London was named Sir John Cass Business School when I attended 10, 12 years ago. And in 2016, there was an announcement from the school, and the school can hear this because I had a very strong argument with them about why are they doing this. So they circulated a message to say that they were stripping the name of the business school. Mm-hmm. Because Sir John Cass, that the school was named after, was engaged in human trafficking and slave trading. And so they could no longer have their name on the school. And I said to the school, this was just last month, 2 months ago, I had this conversation with them. I get a new diploma with a new name. No, I'm sorry, you get to know. So now you're telling me that this man is bad, but you won't even replace the name on my diploma with this new name. I fought the fact that you didn't do your research about this person before you put the name on. So that's why I'm saying a lot of monuments will be disappearing in the next few years. So if there was someone who invested in this bridge that made this and that was a bad person, at some point they're going to say, get rid of the bridge. But anyway, I'm just joking, but it's sad. It's not funny anymore. But that is what's happening around Europe, because I think the people who are trying to make sense of it, like myself, like you, we have common sense. They don't want to hear from us because it's become, everybody wants to be politically correct. But what were you going to say?
End of the day, everything is just about money and business.
That breaks my heart.
You can do this. For example, in the US, it's very common to spend a lot of money for, I don't know, hospitals and whatever. The billionaires in USA, they spend a lot of money for goods, for schools and whatever. Bill Gates Foundation, they spend a lot of money.
I know. I'm not a fan, but that's
I'm also not a fan. I'm not a fan of Bill Gates, but he spent a lot of money. It's not so common in Europe. In Europe, you have high taxes, very high taxes. So the government do this.
It's not sustainable, though. That system is not sustainable. When you look at all of the Southern European countries that are all benefiting from the Northern European countries, and the Southern European countries, Spain still has a monarchy. I'm not sure what that serves, but anyway, that's their system.
No, but, Spain is a democracy.
I know. What's the purpose of that? But anyway, I see the purpose in England, because at least England brings it revenue. A lot of people go to England to see the monarchs and the castles and all that, but nobody goes to Spain to see the monarchy. But I don't understand that anyway. But the point is, those countries, Portugal, Spain, Greece, am I missing one? Italy's almost there, because Italy has been bankrupt. All their banks are bankrupt. I've had people, because I'm an investment banker, people send me opportunities. Banks are looking for buyers. Banks in Italy are looking for buyers. I look at that as, can they have a long-term vision? Can these people think more in the future instead of just looking short-term? And I think that's been the issue for all of Europe, as how they govern. They're just trying to fix the problem today versus thinking on how their solution can not just fix the problem, but actually destroy the future. Would you agree with that? Yeah, because I think you have children. You said you're helping Ukraine because you have children and you would want to know that all children have a future. But do you think some of these leaders are forgetting that there are future generations to come, and they need to establish some time of order and discipline and stability for these future generations?
Yes, that's the point. I think a lot of leaders lose the right view on things. That's the reason why I like to speak with Mr. Klitschko, with Vitaly in Kiev, because he stay on the ground. He's a normal guy.
He's with the people. He likes to hear. He's more comfortable with the people than with the bureaucrats. So you can tell him to come on my podcast. I would love to interview him.
I can try.
Can you tell him?
Try, but it's not so easy.
Okay, so we'll bring him. We could do you two and me, and I would have this opportunity. In all honesty, it's been such a pleasure to have you. Is there any last points that you want to add so the audience can get to understand more on how? First of all, tell us your last point, and then tell the audience, if they need to reach you, how can they reach out to you?
The last point? Wow, that's not so easy.
We could do part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No,
we'll have to come back.
You must come to an end. It's very
after the election, you must come back and tell me what you think.
I'm scared about next elections. I'm scared about what happens in Ukraine. I'm very scared what's happened between Taiwan and China, because
in Israel and Gaza as well.
Yes, but when China invades Taiwan,
if they do,
that would be the biggest problem in the whole world, because then collapse a lot of economics. Nobody cares about Ukraine then. Nobody cares about Israel then, because Taiwan, they produce.
There is a position against the West. So it's East-West bloc now, because we have the BRICS. A lot of countries that were aligned with the West are now joining the BRICS. So you have Saudi Arabia is no longer going to be using the petrodollar. That's another conversation. That would be a whole 3-hour conversation. But yes, I understand your concern. And you audience, please tell us, what are your main concerns? What would you like us to talk about? Because I know I'm going to have Adrian back. So what would you like Adrian to touch on? Because he's a well-versed professional. He's been in the defense industry. He still technically he's in the supply chain. And of course, if we have another disruption, another war, What are the main concerns for supply chains? And he's in humanitarian aid, and he's European. He's Germany. He was a resident of the strongest European country in my lifetime. That's not going to last very long. And I'm sorry if I'm depressing anyone, but we just have to face reality. But yeah, China is the decision maker in all of this. So where China goes, we have to pay attention. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Frankly Speaking with Sendra D. Tell the audience how to reach you, your email, your LinkedIn. What are you on Facebook? Are you on Instagram? Where can they find you? Your website?
LinkedIn is the best way. LinkedIn, I'm not sure how you find me on LinkedIn.
Well, it's your name. So just look him up. His name. Your name is
Adrian
and then
Rauko.
your website. Your website?
Oh yeah, sure. I have a website, sure, but I don't use it so very often.
If anyone wants to use you as a access to medical supplies, what's the website for that?
You can go to my website. The name is icagency.ltd.
Okay. And I will put it at the bottom of the comments, the description, so you can have all the links for Adrian. And thank you so much, sir. I know it's late for you. And I said half an hour, and here we are. This is such a fantastic conversation, as you can tell. I told you, you said, oh, you can't do camera for more so long. I said, trust me, when you start talking to me, you will talk. So that is me, everyone who knows me. My name is Sendra Dorcé. It's been another fantastic episode on all hot topics in and around Ukraine, Germany. Let us know what your thoughts are and what you'd like us to talk about again, and how quickly you'd like Adrian to come back. And when are the elections in Germany?
Which one? There are more than one. In the fall.
For the chancellorship.
Yeah, it's on the fall. So in 3 months, 4 months.
You'll be back. Yeah. We'll have two things to talk about, the US election and the German election.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Those two countries were the leaders. Let's see how far they go in 2025. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day. And thanks again for joining us. Subscribe to Frankly Speaking with Sendra D and join us each week as we uncover stories of resilience, transformation, and the pursuit of your true affluence mindset. And I won't sit down, won't back out. You can't ever shut me up. Come and join me on this journey. I promise not to disappoint. Don't forget to make sure you like, subscribe, and share to be notified when a new episode is released.